Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken. Well, today, this is just so beautiful. We have a special guest, and she is from India. So we are expanding. I would like to welcome Pushtiie. Pushtiie is a survivor from childhood traumas of abuse. She also is the CEO and founder of Goddess Breath. It's a newly established company, so she'll explain later. She is the first Indian female that has partnered with Createx Transformologist. Pushtiie will get a little bit more into that, but I am going to welcome Pushtiie. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, to give you a little bit more, and then me and Sid are going to do what we're going to do. We're going to get those questions out. Pushtiie is going to answer them so that we can again help others through life experiences. So if someone's going through something, Pushtie's story may touch a whole lot of folks. Pushtiie, welcome. So if you could tell us, absolutely. We are honored to have you here. Can you tell us what time it is there really quick?
It is 7:33 p.m.
Okay, and we're on. Yes, and we're at 9:03, so you can see the time difference. So thank you for making time for Unfiltered Unspoken. We're really thankful. So Pushtiie, I'm going to allow you to take the floor and tell folks a little bit about yourself, and then Sid's going to come in and we're going to go from there.
Okay, I don't know where to start. There's so much about me. Kidding. Basically, with regards to what I'm here to do today, I just want to say that I basically have been a survivor of childhood trauma, which has, of course, affected me even in my present day decision making, present day trust. All of that, the tiny things get really affected when you've experienced something. But what happened is I experienced something called creatrix, which changed everything for me, which is why I studied it and I became the first Indian to study creatrix. It's called Creatrix Transformology, and I am now called a transformologist. And we just help people get out of all that. And I have a company by the name of Goddess Breath because I'm a complete devout goddess follower. And it is basically working on the fact of creation comes from the feminine space and it is divine. And breath is the first thing that animates absolutely everything and anything. So putting that together, it's almost like divine breath. And I work with various healing modalities from creatrix to breathing to reiki to just like loads of things. And I basically work with as many people as I can to bring them back to being who they truly are, regardless of what they've gone through, because that can be taken out of their systems gradually, maybe quickly. It depends from person to person, but I work very, very deeply and very closely, especially with women who try to come out but are not very successful of jumping out of that trauma that they've gone through. But I can always help them and I can show them a path out. So my entire being is all about helping them come out, and that's what my company is all about.
That sounds lovely. How has that experience been? Has it been a welcoming idea, in your country, or, have you gotten pushback or criticism even for, the study in this field?
Actually, the thing is, I have tried to reach out to people about it, and whenever I reach out to them, they do like it. They like the idea of it. It's almost like a promise that they give themselves, I will get out of this, but they can't. And then when someone tells them, there you go, it's on a platter, I'm handing it to you, it'll take me a month, maximum a month, to get out all that's going on inside you, and I will be able to bring you to that clarity. They love it. They love it very deeply, but they also realize that, then their lifestyle changes, their behavior patterns change, and with that, their response to things change, which is why it's going to be a lot of questions from other people. And it's very easy for people around you to say, you've changed, there's something different about you, you don't listen to us anymore. They don't like that, because earlier it's very easy to get into people pleasing when you're abused, right? Because you want people to like you. So that is what happens, and that is what makes it a little difficult for them to come out and say, I want to do this. Whatever clients I've had till now when it comes to creatrix, they've been very brave, and they've been very clear saying, I don't care what anybody else says, I want to be free. So there are
Okay.
people who want to, there are people who are finding it difficult.
Okay, okay. So, can we? I want to jump back just a little bit and then come back to where you are now.
Sure.
So, a part of as a child, you said that you experienced some abuses. Can you tell us the start of those abuses and of what happened to you as a child?
Sure. So we lived in a joint family, and it just so happened that when I went to school, there was this one individual, one male, who would come and pick me up from school, take me to tuition, bring me back. It was like that. And one day, it just so happened, I was really young. I was, I think, in the fourth standard, you know, fourth grade, so really young. And we were at the station. We were supposed to catch a train to where I'm supposed to go, and there was this one man walking naked on the station, because he was a little mentally challenged, I believe. Yeah. And he is flinging his thing in women's faces, and I'm thinking, whatever, I'm not going to look at four, at that age, it doesn't even register. It's like, yeah, whatever, and I'm looking at something else, and I'm in my own la la land, because I was this little chirpy happy baby who couldn't care a squat, really. And this guy who came to pick me up, he caught hold of my shoulders, and he turned me towards that guy, right? And he started telling me, I want you to watch. I'm like, oh, why? It doesn't look good. I don't want to watch it. And he said, no, I want you to watch, because when we get married and we have children, you should know everything. And I'm like, what? We get married, we have children. You're like, I'm like maybe six, whatever, 4, 5 or 6, and you're like 40. What is wrong with you? It didn't strike me that time, but it was just gross. You know how children don't really understand gross or bad, but they just have this feeling of, I don't want this. And I closed my eyes. I remember I closed my eyes and I started crying, but he wouldn't let my shoulders go. He kept turning me. If I turned around, he kept turning me towards that guy, and he kept insisting that I watch. And I didn't want to, and finally the train came. I got in, and my eyes were closed all through that journey. Finally got out, ran home. I go to my mother and I tell her, Mom, this is what happened. And as a child in that moment, I'm expecting my mother to ask me, okay, calm down, tell me everything in detail, don't get flustered. Because I was flustered, you know. And instead I hear my mom saying, listen, stop making stories. I'm like, I'm not making stories. This happened, you know. And now when I think about it, I would not have been surprised if this man actually told me, now that you've seen it, why don't you touch it? You know? And it literally felt like that, because he would hold my hand, and I still am. I was really short back then, right? Tiny. And I was very close to his thing, and I'm like, and after seeing that, I started going away from him, and he would keep putting himself very close to me, almost, close to rubbing himself into me, and it was gross. And the that was anyway traumatic, but what was more traumatic for me was that I constantly kept telling my mother that this has happened and there's something wrong, right? But what happened is, in my head, I'm thinking I am wrong, because the other guy who made me feel the way I'm feeling was not told off. He was still doing what he was doing. He was still trying to be sent to pick me up from school and take me to tuition, you know. So I'm thinking I'm wrong. I've judged this situation wrong with my baby brain, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I should not feel the way I'm feeling. One, I am wrong. Secondly, I should not feel the way I'm feeling, you know. And three, it's part of life. It happens. So suddenly in my brain, being treated like that was normal. See? And when I grew up, I realized that's a whole load of crap. I don't need to be like this. I don't need to be treated like this. I don't need to be spoken to like this. This is not me, you know? And then you realize all your decisions start getting questioned in your head because you're not sure if you're right or wrong. You don't know if you are just imagining things or they're really real. And I think that is the biggest issue that people who go through any sort of abuse face. They start doubting themselves. Their credibility in their own eyes is gone because it's been hammered into them that they are thinking wrong. You know, that is one thing that took me a really long time to get out of. And I'm thinking, at least I did. Honestly, I'm thinking, at least I did. Because I know a lot of friends who have not. A lot of my clients or my patients, they haven't gotten out of this. And frankly, in a way, right now, on a very grown up spiritual level, I bless that experience because from there, I started understanding healing and I became a healer because of that. So, you know, it may have been that one thing that needed to happen to take me on my path, but leaving that aside, it was pure trauma because I would run around like this. I wouldn't want to get out of the house. I don't want to go meet people. I don't want to see people. Men scare me. And I was in all girls school, right? And the fact that I couldn't be trusted even by my mother, who was the one person that I could rely on at that age, one person that I looked up to, that just broke me. It broke me bad.
Yes. That's did you did anything ever come of it, you know? Did you know did the words and act did the words ring true, you know, in the future? Did you have any other connections with this person? You know, or were you able to navigate out of that?
No, the thing is that he worked in our office for another 2 years, I guess. And I kept shrinking away all the time. And my mother kept thinking, oh, yeah, she's had this thing in her head. That is why she shrinks away. Just send someone else to pick her up. It was not like, okay, I understand she's gone through this, which is why she's shrinking away from this particular individual. You know, it's just like, oh, she's got something in her head. So just forget it. Never mind. Just send someone else.
Just you know, I at least appreciate that, but to not, you know, validate your feelings, that's huge. And I'm glad you were at least somewhat safe from it, but you know, on a mental level, I don't like how that was handled.
But, no, it's just, it's wrong because it's very important. I just wish I was held in that moment. You know, I was held and I was told, okay, it's possible. This could have happened. I will tell him not to come. I will get someone else to pick you up. You don't have to worry about this anymore. It didn't have to be like a 20-page lecture. It just had to be 4 sentences which said, don't worry about it. Do you feel like crying about it? I'm going to hug you. Cry it out. If you feel like saying something else about it, say it. You know, let it out of your system. You know, so I was not allowed to let it out of my system at that time, and because of that, I held on to it, and I formed so many misconceptions about myself. And these misconceptions really have taken me through my life. You know, and I've realized that I've never trusted men. I I do trust them, but it's not as complete as I'd like it to be. You know, if that makes sense. It's like I've had relationships, but it's always like, you know, I'm looking over my shoulder saying, "Acha, what is he thinking? You know, why is he behaving like this? Why is he not wearing his t-shirt?" You know, it's things like that. So it's just the thought of anything like that coming towards me is very difficult. And it was very difficult for me to actually get into a sexual relationship with someone. My first boyfriend, poor thing, God bless him. He was really sweet and he took all the time in the world and he said, "Honey, I don't care. I'll wait my entire life just for you to think about it, feel like it, you know?" And it was his um, quiet um being there that helped me get out of the mental trauma of, oh my God, this is yucky. I don't want to go close to this. It's that kind of a thing, which is why I started. And I started really late, like really, really late. But more than that, no, one thing that I have figured out which impacts us physically is that because I was not sure and I felt unsafe, I started putting on weight. I started putting on so much weight because I felt unsafe. And then it's amazing how your body and your mind get trained to do it. And this happened when I was so young, and I'm 42 now. I'm still fighting weight. It's gone down a lot, but I'm still fighting it. you know and that was just one thing that happened, and because I was looking over my shoulder expecting something else like that to happen, there was other stuff that happened. There was other stuff that happened, but somehow I was in a space where I said, okay, it feels wrong, so I'm not going to go there. So it just, I saved myself from getting in that space just by the fact that it felt like, no, 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 I may be wrong, whatever, I may be throwing a tantrum, but I'm going, I don't want to this, I don't want this, I don't want to be in this space, you know, that kind of a thing.
And you have to feel comfortable with being in a space. And it's good that you validated your feelings that you didn't want to be in that space and it felt unsafe and uncomfortable to
Absolutely.
you. I have a question. So,
Mhm.
since your mother disregarded your feelings and didn't believe collectively what happened to you, did it change the relationship with your mother from child and even now up until an adult?
That is such a pointed question for me at this moment. Honestly speaking, I was not allowed to have a different relationship than what my family had with their mothers. Right? Everyone's supposed to have that relationship. You're supposed to love your mother. You're supposed to follow what your mother says. It's your mother. And there is so much emotional drama between this mother daughter relationship, especially in our country. There are songs written to it, which is very irritating. Trust me, don't want to listen to them because your relationship is different. And it's only now that I'm realizing what had happened and how it impacted me. And now I don't want to stand for that because my mother has certain feelings or certain thoughts about how things should be, and I am the exact opposite. Because for me, what happened is, since I wanted to rebel against her, I was not quiet. I ran away from home. I was a completely different, like a complete opposite of what a rebel could have been in my house, because usually rebels are silent and we don't want to talk to you and we're fine and we're not going to do what you're saying. No, I went to the other spectrum and I ran away. I said, I'm not going to be in your vicinity. So, a good 9 years, I ran away from home. I only came back when my father passed away recently. But still, even today, I'm in this space where I'd much rather have that relationship from afar. I love my mother to bits, I do. But I don't want to be like so close to her all the time because it's claustrophobic. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So it seems like,
Yes.
for lack of better words, she hasn't really, changed, enough for you to even like entertain the thought, which, we expect it. It is just, I do believe it's sad. It's really sad that we as we're adults, but we're younger, and we assume that they would get to the same points that we have,
Yeah.
just to kind of make everything come full circle, to make it feel like it was even all worth it. And when they don't, it's largely disappointing.
Tell me about it. It is crazy.
It is. Um, Now, how do I want to put this? With regards to, putting on weight and things like that. I actually feel like I had a similar question with one of our other guests. Does it kind of mentally equate to you wanting to almost make yourself unattractive or repulsive to just avoid the attention? In your opinion, did it work? Were you still, kind of attracting men regardless? Seeing that, sometimes it's you, sometimes, the weight just doesn't matter. Um, you know, how did that kind of formulate for you?
Okay, the most interesting part is, when you're talking about being invisible, I actually tried to commit suicide thrice. Okay. It never freaking worked. And in my head, I had another tag on myself because I couldn't even kill myself. Loser, can't even die. See? So loser was a humongous tag on me. So I just gave up on myself, which is when I started putting on weight much faster, right? But it just so happens that I'm an actress and it's my job to stand on stage. And it's my job to stand in front of the camera and stand in front of a million people and talk and sing and dance and do whatever I have to do because I'm an actress, I'm a performer. And honestly speaking, I'm a darn good performer because, I have so much emotion in me, I can hold on to it and get it out and all the rest of it, right? But the fact is that it was really strange. The more I try to hide myself, the more people would want to cast me in various characters. Okay. And because I was putting on so much weight, in India, usually you end up getting to play the fat chick who has three emotions. She's angry, she's hungry, or she's horny. Angry because nobody talks to her, nobody likes her, apparently. Hungry because she's got to justify being fat. And horny because nobody else pays attention to her, so she has to help herself. Right? So it's just these three emotions. And I, for many, many years, I kept getting cast in these similar kind of, characters. And after a point, I said, I can't do this. I cannot do this. I'm stopping. And I ran away from home. That's the time I ran away. Right. But because I was in the public eye, I have gotten so much unwanted attention that no matter how much weight I put on, no matter how much acne I broke out into, people would always give me the attention that I did not want. It was always like, oh, you're so pretty. So what if you're short? You have lovely eyes. I'm like, dude, do you understand? Get out of my space. I'm telling you that in these many words, get out of my space. They wouldn't care. They would find an excuse. I've had people come up to me and tell me, oh my God, the curves on you are so beautiful. I'm like, really? Is that really what you went with? I mean, get a life. you know? And the thing is, because of all this, I I put on a lot of weight on my breasts, funnily enough. And I had to actually get a surgery done. I had to reduce them. And now when I look back at it, I realized I had such an issue with being a woman. Because, being a woman was being helpless. It was being someone that was not believed in, that someone who couldn't believe in herself because she was always throwing tantrums, you know. So it was just the fact that it was like that. Being a woman didn't feel safe and comfortable for me at all. I had to go through a massive shift in everything in my life, especially when I ran away. You know, before I came to understand that, whoa, it's a blessing I'm a woman. I would not have chosen it otherwise, you know. But that phase in my life when I went through this thing of, I don't even want to be a woman, you know, it was so strong. It was so strong that I didn't want to exist. Like you said, I didn't want to exist. Because what was I doing here? I had no say in anything. So was I just standing around, filling up space? Or was there a reason for me to be on this planet, to be standing on my own 2 feet? Because I didn't want to just fill up space. I didn't want to be in a space where I said, yeah, I'm here because I'm here. Now it doesn't really matter, right? So because I'm there, you got to tolerate me. I didn't want to tolerate myself. I didn't want to be tolerated. I wanted to be alive. And the It's like this schizophrenic inside, because deep inside you're this bubbly, chirpy little thing. Side note, I still consider myself a 3-year-old, and very proudly so. Honestly. And inside, deep inside, you're this 3-year-old who's very jumpy, very bubbly. And then there are these covering thoughts that have kind of landed up crowding the 3-year-old spirit that says, can't trust you, you're silly, you make wrong decisions, you don't understand stuff, you should not respond to stuff, you should not talk too much, you should not be seen enough. It's unsafe for you to be. It's unsafe for you to just be. All of that starts ganging on you, and you're thinking, oh my god, like, I don't want this. And if I was a man, this would not have happened to me. And you come back to a later stage where you realize, no, men go through a lot of stuff themselves. But at that age, you're thinking, if I was a man, nothing would have happened to me, because my brother, who's 9 years older than me, is scot free. He's doing his own thing. He doesn't, care about anything at all. He is enjoying his life pretty much, and I am the one who's thinking about so much. And I'm very sensitive. I'm also an empath, so it's very difficult to not feel stuff. So building on the feelings and letting them churn within you, and then falling ill, and then manifesting an autoimmune disease, literally. And yet it's so funny, because the doctor's like, how can your MRI be so scary and you be perfectly fine? There is no correlation between that. And when I look at it, I'm thinking, of course, there's no correlation. My body is in the past where my spirit has moved forward. It's going to take a while for the two of us to catch up. Me and my body are going to take a while to catch up. But where was the split? I believe the split was right back in that very first uh, episode that I just shared with you, with that guy on the station. That is where my split happened. So it's been crazy since then. Everything in your life gets affected. Does that make sense?
It does to
Oh yeah,
me.
yeah.
It
It
mostly
definitely
does.
does. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the you can't tell anyone how to deal with their traumas, and we're all traumatized in different areas. I could only imagine being a child, seeing someone walk past me naked, and then someone that's fondling me and keeps fondling me for 2 years. I mean, more than 2 years, to force me to look at this naked man and to tell. And it sounded like he was in preparation to molest you, but in reality, at that moment, he was molesting your mind. I mean, he traumatized you. So, with I can only imagine, because the children that go through molestation and they bottle it in and they don't say nothing, or you have people that don't believe them, they're put into society trying to fix traumas that they really can't. So they try to block it out, but blocking it out doesn't do anything else but damage them even more. So it's an honor that you're sharing your life experience with everyone, letting folks know that you were traumatized. So when you ran away, I guess running away helped you identify a lot of your traumas that you were going through, to identify yourself, to allow you to love yourself. I mean, even in that split, you're put in roles where you have weight on you. So the same thing that you were dealing with as a child, with anger, uh, not being not being horny, but someone putting you in a situation sexually, it
Mm.
ties back together. So you're facing the same situations that you went through as a child: angry, gaining weight from the trauma, and the horny, the sexual piece that you experience traumatizing you. So you can't escape, almost. You're facing it. So how did you over the piece overcoming all of those? Just, I mean, what snapped? Like, I can't take it anymore. Was it after the suicides, or?
Actually, it was the suicides are rather funny to me, because they didn't work, and I'm thinking, okay, I've had a whole bottle of sleeping pills, and this has got to do it. This is the third time I'm trying it. It's got to happen. Third time lucky. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Damn, no, it didn't work. So I was like, okay, no, there's something going wrong here. And then After a few years of that, I found my window and I ran away, right? But what happened is, when I ran away, I came into a space where I I went to a place where I didn't know the language. They did use English a little bit, but not too much. It's called Goa. I don't know if you guys have heard of Goa. It's a holiday spot. Okay, you must check it out. It's beautiful. But the thing is that I went there, I got there, and they were all speaking in their regional language and a little bit of English here and there. So I survived. And I was so busy actually trying to figure out where to live, where to buy my groceries, where to get someone to drive me or ride me from one place to another, and how to earn money so that I can survive where I am. And the fact that I'm a tarot reader really helped. I just had to have my little pack of cards and I was sorted. I could go anywhere and read for people, right? I didn't need anything else. And it's just, um, I didn't have the time to think about what had happened, if you know what I'm saying, for at least a year and a half. I didn't have the time to think about what had happened because it was more like, okay, I have the peace to myself. I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have people chewing my brains. I don't have someone breathing over my neck all the time, telling me what to do, what to wear, how to behave, what to say, what not to say. Nothing of that sort. I could do whatever I wanted to do. And also, that kind of brought an understanding without me consciously thinking about it as to who I really was, what do I really like. Because till then, it was all about mom said I like this, mom said I like that, mom says I should wear clothes like this. So it was all like me living someone else's life. It was not like me living my life. So when I ran away from there, and I mean, ran away from here and went back there to Goa, it was about discovering myself, firstly. Secondly, it was just about the fact that I didn't have the time to think about trauma. And by God's grace, in that place, people didn't traumatize me at all. In fact, they were really careful with me. They were like, okay, do you want this? Do you want that? Can we pick your luggage up for you? Can we? Of course, after that, there were a few incidences where people tried, and I was like, listen, get off me. And now suddenly I'd become stronger in my head saying, I can tell people what I want. I don't have to hide it. I can open my mouth and say, listen, you are not coming close to me. Just stay out of my zone. And they would have to listen to what I'm saying because I'm going to say it with that much gravity. Because suddenly my belief in me had gotten much, much stronger. So that slowly started telling me that I am fine, that I can be this person who can trust me. I can trust me. I allowed myself to trust me. I was okay with making decisions. I was okay with saying, oops, I messed up. That's okay. I can do it again. Earlier it was, oh my God, you messed up. You should never do it again. What's wrong with you? How can you mess up? It was all of that. Living up to expectations, although we're already going through a lot of, crap inside you. Suddenly, all these things that you just mentioned, they all started sorting themselves out, on a higher, not higher, but a top, more surface level is the word I'm looking for. On the surface level, it started sorting itself out. And the sense of freedom started feeling very real to me until I came back and I'm again living with the family and all that came out again. I'm like, oh my God, it's not yet gone. It is still there and it is so strong. It's stronger than ever because, it has been repressed because it apparently, surface wise went away. Oof. But now what happens is since I do trust myself and I have kind of grown up, in a way, it's not that difficult to let go.
Hold on, we're having technical difficulties. Push T's mic froze. We're going to go to a quick commercial and we will be right back. Okay. Push T, you're back.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm just wondering what happened.
yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm gonna You froze for a second, but it's okay.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna
back.
let.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. So
Oh,
if you want to, if you remember where you finished off at, you can start from there, and then
yeah,
Sid is gonna come, and then she's gonna ask you another question.
sure. So what I was basically saying is that, when I came back and I had to face that resurgence of everything, I was more intelligent. I trusted myself, and I said, "No, I can do this. I don't need you to tell me what I can do or not. I'm fine." That actually kind of brought me to a space of, I'm trusting me. You don't want to trust me, your story. Suddenly it doesn't matter to me if you trust me or not. I trust me. Yay. That's it. That was a shift. So I didn't consciously work towards everything you mentioned. It just started unraveling itself through the experiences I started having when I was away, which I think was a blessing.
Yes. And just in what you were kind of just explaining, it kind of brings up I guess what I'd call a cultural parallel in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because just as, Black people, like our mothers are strong, outspoken, don't take no mess. And quite frankly, any, older Indian women I've met have been the same. But at the same time, it's almost like we don't have the tools to get out of situations like that, or even the tools to help us find our way easier into situations like that, and just not have the knowledge around them, even though we are, surrounded by women that don't take no mess, that, speak their minds at all turns. So it's crazy to know that, it happens really elsewhere within other cultures, with us having to find our voice and actually knowing what's right and what's wrong, as adults, and having to go through so much to even arrive at that point.
Absolutely, absolutely agreed. And the thing is, you know what? You can only become that strong woman, or you can only manifest that strong woman on the outside after you've come to a certain age, after your mom has let go of as much control over you as she wants to. Because if you're still in control of your mom, she's the strong woman, you're not. You're still going to be the child. It doesn't matter if you're 60, and your mom is 85. You're still going to be the little child because she's there. But it takes something inside you. I mean, I wouldn't call it guts, but it takes like a, I don't even know what to say. It takes a much stronger energy inside you to say, I love you, but I'm already my own person. I am going to do what I'm going to do because I am comfortable doing that. It's very difficult to say that to her because she is going to become a melodrama queen in 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
My child doesn't love me anymore. Like, dude, I love you. I just told you
Mm-hmm.
I love you. I just told you I love you. Just because you can't control me anymore doesn't mean you can you get a chance to become a melodramatic thing. Sorry. Not
Mm-hmm.
taking that crap from you anymore. It's
Mm-hmm.
very difficult to go up against that strong woman, like Sid, you said, and yes, they're the same. I think, that culture and that culture and then that culture, all these cultures are same. These women are really strong because they've lived through it, and our times are different. Our times are different.
Yeah.
So, our generation is a little more adjusting, accommodating, and understanding of each other. While these people really had to rule the roost, we
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Yep.
We don't. So it's like we don't naturally go into that zone. But
Mm-hmm.
when you want to start ruling yourself, you have to be putting your foot down because you have to be putting your foot down. The
Mm-hmm.
end. And it's
Agree.
not easy for them to accept it. They hate it. They're like, I'm
Agree.
losing control.
Yeah. Another,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry, another kind of cultural parallel I'm kind of picking up. All of our shortcomings somehow do end up being blamed on our mothers, whether what they were doing good or not good. And the father kind of gets to skate away, free of accountability.
Mm.
What, part did your father play in everything? Because in my mind, you would think like, oh, there's a boy in my personal space. Like, this is where my father's supposed to step in, put some fear in his heart, and
Yeah.
it's not really a situation your mother should have really had to handle, or took the reign in handling. So, what part did your father play in all of this? Did he, ever come to your rescue physically or mentally? How did he incorporate himself into your trauma?
Actually, the thing is, he didn't even know I had that trauma. Because once you talk to mom, you don't need to talk to dad. You only go and talk to dad when you're happy and nice. And you don't. Dad is always in the office. He's working. He's busy. You don't trouble him with more stuff. You just go say, Dad, I love you. Yeah, I gotta have dinner with me. That's it. You don't tell him, Dad, that guy in your office, he did that to me. I don't like him. That's not what you tell your dad, because according to the family, the mother will relay that to the father. But
So
in my case,
your mother never relayed that to your dad.
I don't think so. In fact, we spoke like when he was on deathbed actually, and he was on bed for a very long time. And then I spoke to him, and he's like, I never knew about this. I said, that's okay. It's a story in the past. I'm over it and I'm fine. But that did happen, and he's like, he actually got angry. He's like, why didn't I know about this? But my father was someone who was ruled by the mother. He was a very sweet man, very simple man who said, I love you. I will do whatever it takes to make you happy.
So do you
You know,
feel as though your dad was abused in the process by your mom as well?
a little, a little. Because, she's done this thing where I have a relationship with her, my father had a relationship with her, and my brother has a relationship with her. We, the brother, the father, and me, we don't really have a very strong relationship with each other if she's not there in the center. You know. So now what's happening is that my brother and me are starting to form a better relationship with each other, saying, okay, beyond her, this is what I'm doing. Now we talk about her. She needs to go to the hospital, she needs to take her medicine, she needs to whatever. So it's not like you bitch about her, but it's like, you talk about what concerns you about her, that she's not feeling well. So, you talk about that. So it's a different relationship now. Earlier, it was not that. I have gotten so beaten up by my brother, it's not funny. My mother and brother ganged up on me. My brother's 10 years older than me, right? So it's just, it's like, it was like they were a clique, and dad and me were a clique. It was like that. And somewhere at the back of my head, I still feel very left out and alone because my dad's not there. You know, it's it's weird. But although he didn't play that much of a part in saying, "Okay, I'll help you" or whatever, because he didn't know about half the stuff that went on in my life, he was still always there. He was always there, and he was like, "What do you need?" But I was not allowed to tell him what I needed. But when I ran away from home, I got a call from him first, and he had tears in his eyes, and I could hear the tears in his voice. He said, I don't like this house without you. It's biting me. Come back. I'd stay in touch with him. And I told him, I said, Dad, I will come back. Give me some time.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd call me up and he'd say, but I miss you. I can't take it. I don't like it without you.
And you just actually asked. I was going to ask you that question. Did your parents look for you, or did your parents reach out to you? So,
There's a catch there. I very smartly went out saying, "Oh, I'm not running away. I'm just going away. I want to spend my time there." So my mom and dad knew where I was, but I was slightly out of reach. I went and lived in the mountains for a while, so they're not coming to the mountains. They're not going to climb up those mountains. They're not coming all the way to Goa, although my mother did end up coming there once. But still, it was like I was out of reach. I was out of reach. So they knew where I was, but they couldn't reach me the way they wanted to.
okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying that.
Most
Yeah.
welcome.
Now, have you because I was gonna ask when you quote unquote ran away, where you went, but you let us know. Now I assume culturally it's probably, still kind of close to, what you're used to. Um, have you found any like solace or difference in, maybe dating outside of the culture of your, native culture, or is it just a kind of colonized country type of mind frame that covers all types of every country during there that has been colonized, as far as theology of men and kind of how they get along in relation to women.
I don't know how to put this, but what has happened is that even though I've been in that state of, being ruled by the feminine and the masculine, everything. And in general, all of life is about being ruled by the masculine in a manner. But it just so happened that, when I ran away, I came to understand me, like I said, right? So I started getting into a space where I said, listen, you may like or want something, but this is how I want to behave. This is what I want to do. Like, for example, there is someone who now is a good friend, but earlier, if I wrote something, he said, but why is it like this? It should be like this. Why is it like that? It should be like that. I'm like, dude, have you written anything? You haven't. Why would you want to tell me how to write what I'm writing just because you don't feel comfortable with what I have written? you know so I actually started getting into that kind of a space where I started understanding my boundaries. I started understanding who I really was, what I really wanted, and somehow from somewhere I got the courage to say that is what I will have. And I don't care who the king is, who the queen is. I will have what I want to have because I am living my life. So I'm not interested in what you have to just pass off to me. you know I'm not taking that.
Mm. So,
That is
you said after 9 years, when you came back to your family, and coming back, the energy was greater than when you left it. So, did you just up and leave and separate yourself again? Are you out of that situation now?
No, when I came back, I started shooting for a series. For 1.5 years, I was shooting for the series, and I was staying at home. But I hardly had any time to interact with people because I'd leave in the morning, come back in the night, go to sleep. Leave in the morning, come back in the night, go to sleep. It was like that. But after a point, when that got over, then I had the time to start talking and interacting with people. That is when the shit hit the fan, and I said, no, this is what I want, and this is how I shall have it. And they were like, no, but you like this, and I'm like, no, I don't like it. This is what I like. So it was very difficult for them to digest me. Very difficult for them to digest me. And I think now the tag I carry in my head is I'm difficult to digest, right? So when men try and try to get into a space where they're saying, oh, but you should actually do this or actually do that, I'm like, no. And then I've had men tell me, you're very difficult. I'm like, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have digestion problems, go correct them. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
say to them. Like, it's not me, it's you. It's actually, it's very freeing to be able to tell the man that it's not me, it's you.
Yep.
Not just the man, anybody who's trying to mold you into what they find comfortable.
Yep.
you
Yep.
know
Mm-hmm.
So you
I
end
agree.
up telling them, I'm fine. I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine just the way I am. I live it and I breathe what I am because that is what I was supposed to be. I'm not listening to what you think I should be.
I agree. So, did your mother feel some kind of way that you were standing up to her, that you wouldn't allow her to, for her to take advantage of you anymore?
Do you have a couple of days?
I can always bring you back too. So,
No, I mean, let me just put it like this. She still fights with it. Still, even today. Even today, she still fights with it. And now I'm laughing about it, literally. I'm like, oh, there you go, mom, you're in a difficult spot again. Ha! And she's like, why do you keep doing this to me? I said, I'm not doing anything to you. You are doing this to yourself. You are making yourself feel the way you're feeling. I'm just saying, I'm doing this. Simple.
hmm,
I'm not doing anything to, make you feel in a particular manner. It's
good.
just so liberating to meet you, after everything that you've gone through and that big hodgepodge that's happened inside you. And like I said, an autoimmune disease has popped up in you. And you're thinking, oh my God, the doctors are saying you'll be in a wheelchair in 5 years. And you're thinking, honey, I don't like wheelchairs. Keep it for yourself. Play with it. I'll walk on my own 2 feet. I'm fine.
Hmm.
You know? Yeah, I actually said that to my doctor.
Good, good.
Because on my MRI show that I should be in bed staring at the ceiling, no movement of any kind, no understanding of any kind. I should be fed by a tube, and here I am dancing around, walking around, meeting people like nothing's wrong. And the doctor's like, "Don't come back to me. You have foxed us good men." I said, "Ooh, I like that."
Good. Well, I'm glad that you're standing up for yourself and you're not allowing anyone to belittle you, because we come accustomed to being belittled because we people make us feel that way, so we start to feel that way. Well, if they're doing that to me, especially the folks that are supposed to protect us and love us, so if you're
Mm-hmm.
making me feel that way, then maybe that is how I should feel. Like we're validating someone else's feeling because they're authority.
Exactly.
I'm too familiar with it, so I understand.
Yeah, but you know what? I got out of that when I was a kid. I got out of that because at that time, not being validated just made me realize, okay, but you know what? It doesn't sound right. I guess there was this feeling inside of me that I chose to hear, which said, no, doesn't feel right. No, doesn't look good. No, no, no. A lot of no happening with the way I started behaving. In fact, most other women don't have that part of them that says no. It's mostly like, oh yeah, no, it must be right. If they say it, it must be right. Like, the white coats are the gods, right? For lack of a better understanding. And when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, for 4 months, I was depressed. Because every time I looked up, the internet about it, there was just horror stories. And then something inside me said, no, honey, that's not what you are. You are someone who sorts this shit out for yourself. Look, go find. And after those, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I started looking for people who have dealt with it, who sorted it out. And believe you me, I found a gazillion people who are runners, who are doctors, who are actors, who are marathons, who run marathons, who done the triathlons, everything that they want to do, even when they've had what they've had, you know and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a yoga teacher. With this body, I'm a yoga teacher. And I said, why am I not going back to that? Because I was told, you will lose balance. Don't do this. Don't walk. Don't run. Don't do stuff because, you'll fall down. I'm like, but I'm not really falling down. Why am I listening to them when I have physical proof that I'm not getting into that space? But that belief in having to believe in what the doctor says because he knows best, you know that for 4 months, that really ran havoc in my life. And then I said, I don't care. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. I'm not listening to them. I shall
Mm-hmm.
disobey God, but that's okay. I shall ask for redemption.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a really quick break, really quick, and we're gonna come right on back. We truly appreciate this. Is really informative. So Pushtiie, I hope everyone's listening. If you're going through any similar situations, take note how you can overcome, and hopefully this will help you get through uh, anything that you're going through. Okay. We're welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for those that are still tuning in. Sid, come on, bring it on. Give us one of those
Yeah.
good, tasteful questions.
I do have one. Because for me, how you talk about the space that you're in, and it feels so liberating. It's actually very liberating to hear you talk about it in the like the space, the breath, the tone of your voice. It actually, you know what I mean? If for somebody who may not be there yet, it's almost, like motivation to be able to say F you as nicely as you have said it plenty of times. Like you voiced that very well. And I believe I'm there. My kind of issue is, and where I'm getting my own personal need from you right now is in the very moment, that your peace might be shaken up, whether, you into it with somebody or you read something or you find out some information. I always lose sight of that in the moment. My trigger is, you might say something crazy, and then, where I was just calm, like, then we off to the races. So what can you suggest, just, in the moment of anger, or whatever moment, whatever feeling you're feeling, to take you out of your calm and your peace? What can you do in that moment just to keep you leveled, bring you back down to, that space where you were just fine before that trigger was set off?
For me, what usually ends up working, what I've discovered over a few years now, is that I go back to my breath. As soon as I see, what happens is, if we're aware of ourselves, we know it's rising. That anger's rising, that irritation's rising. I'm going to burst any minute, you know that. So what I do is, okay, I'm going to start breathing. Like, the counting doesn't work for me, count 1 to 10 or 10 to 1. That doesn't work for me. I get even more irritated because I'm supposed to count it. I can't do it. I breathe. I immediately start breathing. And if I still don't calm down on that front, what I do is I start accessing the first sense that is the most active in that moment. And do I do a run for 5 things that I can identify with that sense. For example, if it's touch, I'll go and put my hand in water, or I'll go and touch a lamp because it's warm, the water's cold. I'll go and touch a wooden, a well polished wooden table which is soft. I'll go and touch cloth which is textured. So just activating every single sense or every single part of that feeling of touch. I will do that because it's important, because my attention gets taken away from there. And then I always take the moment to really enjoy that. And if it's not enough, I actually turn around and take another sense. I ask that sense for help. But the minute I'm grounded in something else beyond this, this energy that's gone upward, because all these anger, frustration, it's always rising. The minute I come to a space where I am not in that space of, getting like that, but taking help from all my senses, I start grounding myself. And that really works for me, because I always remember have you guys heard of Gurdjieff?
I
So
don't think I
basically,
have.
I forgot what country, but he was a mystic. Yeah. And there's something called the Gurdjieff movements. Okay. Which is very interesting. It's like doing two different things with two hands. Like, one is going round like this and one is going straight. So, he does that. It's very confusing. Your left and right brain are not coordinated enough to do it unless you practiced it. It's a given. But his father told him, when he got very angry all the time, that, listen, give yourself 24 hours. Give yourself 24 hours. And if you're still angry at the end of it, or if you're still that highly emotional about at the end of it, do whatever you have to do. But don't do it immediately. You know? But there are moments where we react before we even realize it. You know? And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that you must remember in such a moment is, it is not your fault.
Yeah.
You were triggered and
Mm-hmm.
you reacted. It's absolutely fine. It's allowed, because you are going to live the way you have been trained to live,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be a conscious training. If people keep probing you, at one point you are going to respond and you are going to react, and then that time will get lesser and lesser, and the minute someone does this to you, immediately you're going to react. But the most important thing is to become aware of where you are within yourself. And the minute you're aware, it makes a humongous difference. Suddenly, you are in control of you rather than the emotion being in control of you. Make sense?
Yeah, and we say the bias conscious of the mind, and a lot of folks tell you the mind is going to react off of the situation. But if we take that extra 5, 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe a minute, 5 minutes to think about the situation, we can de-escalate it. But a lot of times we're reacting off the conscious of the mind. We're going to react to the situation, and Sid will tell you that, like, I've been working on that heavily, not to react. So, but we react off of
Yeah,
react off of reactions, right? So,
absolutely.
and it can be a negative if we don't take a few seconds to try to will ourselves back in, because instantly if we react off someone, the outcome may not be as good as we think, instead of taking that extra minute to really think about it and to kind of detox the brain and say what will happen. And for me, I always use the motive, what will happen? Well, if I react off of them, it could become physical. And if I get physical, then I could lose my job. And if I lose my job, then I'm going to lose my house. I can't pay my bills. And then
Right.
it's going to be like the ripple effect. So
Yes.
that's what always comes to my mind, is the safe space for not just me, but taking care of my family.
Absolutely. But the most amazing part is that if you feel safe, personally, if you feel safe or find a space of safety within yourself, everybody around you benefits and makes use of that safety feeling. You know, but it's like, if you say, "Oh, I'm doing it because they need to feel safe," it's not going to work, because it's you who's got to be feeling safe within you first. If if you're just doing it for them and not putting yourself up front and center in, like, right, if you're not being the the eye of the tornado, you know you can't control the tornado, if you know what I'm saying. So you really need to understand that it's you, and you need to help yourself first. Find out what makes you happy, what makes you safe. Most importantly, what makes you safe. You've gone through a lot of situations in life where you've not felt safe, right? So you know what triggers your not feeling safe. Make sure that you make a list of these things. Make a list of these things. And funnily enough, I have seen people work through it like this. A lot of my clients have. What they do is they make this list and they take a moment sometimes to say, okay, if this happened to me, how would I react? Instinctively, intuitively. I would probably, like you say, make it physical. Now, if I want to stop making that physical, what do I do? And they enact that scenario in their own mind a couple of times. It's like, what happens is the mind doesn't know if it's going through that or if you're just thinking about it. So the mind starts shifting the connection between how you're going to react to whatever situation you're in or whatever situation triggers you. Does that make sense to you all?
It definitely does. It definitely does.
Yeah.
We were having, or I was having a conversation, um, pretty much that I resonated, that I seen happen, but resonate so highly with. I can start calm, try to be the voice of reason, and then that trigger, then I go off. But it's almost like you can, you're looking at yourself from the outside, and you look crazy,
Mm,
and you know that you are just off the rails, but like at that point you committed to it. You just can't let up at that point. So it's just, I'm really trying to work on not even like letting that trigger hit the way that it should, just to avoid that, because I can always formulate myself to be in the right in that situation, and that's not good. It's not really wrong, but or not really good, but it's just a matter of not getting started at all. But it's just certain things just gonna hit a certain button. But I'm working on it. But it seems like you were right on time today with this episode, because this is definitely something that I know I need to work on, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well.
I really want to offer you Creatrix right now. I mean, I wish I could just do it right away. But yes, it's going to have to be you saying, yes, I want it, and, being ready for it. Because where that trigger comes from in your life, Creatrix goes there and almost like reworks that trigger into a completely different thing. It's not like you're going to become loose about anything. You're going to become even more powerful, because when you see it, your reaction inside won't be the same, because that will not trigger you anymore. But why? Because it's you that has switched your reality from within, you know. So I really want to give Creatrix to the entire universe, to every woman in the universe. I really do. because the way it has changed me, you know, I used to be an angry little thing, okay? And I'm really funny when I'm angry because I'm all of 5 feet tall and I go wild. And everyone's like, oh my God, she's so cute when she's angry. I'm like, no, I'm angry. And they're like, yeah, but you're so cute when you're angry. I'm like, good Lord, can I just kill them all? And it's not going to be solo. I'm just going to blast them with a bomb. I don't care if I die. It's that bad.
Well, so
Yeah, yeah.
But Creatrix has totally got me out of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's different. I don't get angry anymore. I'm like, listen, this is your story. You take care of that. I believe in this. I'm going to do this. Whether or not you like it is totally your story. It is not me who needs to be bothered about how you are feeling. It's yours. It's your story to deal with your feelings. I will deal with mine. And I feel fine doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I
But
love
I
it.
think, yeah, the center of it all is knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about knowing yourself. What do you really enjoy? What do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
What are you okay with saying, I don't mind it? Or what says, this is it, no more?
Mm-hmm.
This is where it ends for you, and this is where I am. So don't cross this line. Don't
Mm-hmm.
even try. you know
Respect my boundaries. Respect
Absolutely.
my boundaries.
But you have to respect your own boundaries first.
Exactly. Love
You have
yourself first. And that
you
comes
have
with
to
loving yourself first. Yeah.
absolutely comes from loving yourself. But loving yourself, A, has become just like overdone. So I don't say the word love yourself anymore. I actually end up saying know yourself more than love yourself. Because you can only love yourself when you know yourself, and you actually end up knowing yourself in the last minute intuitive reactions that come in. When you're not thinking of a reaction, when you're just doing it, till you become someone who takes that moment each time, and then you become the person who takes the moment, right? Till then you were someone who just reacted impulsively and didn't care a damn about what the other person did. It was just me. you know Here it's not shoving yourself down someone's throat, but saying, this is me, I like me, you can do whatever you want. You take care of you, I take care of me, the end. It's very difficult to come to a space where you say, I'm fine, I don't care if you're running around or standing on your head for like 85 years, you do your thing. I'm not going to come and say, oh my God, is your head hurting? You chose to do it, you do it. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then in there, if you say, listen, what, I need water, I will get you the straw and the water, I don't mind doing that, but I'm not going to ask if your head hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You knew your head's going to hurt if you stand on it. Stop, get off, and straighten out. It's your call. I can't do much about it.
You
It's like
definitely
just,
have a mother feel. You have that mother, how you talk, it's like that motherly feel with you.
yeah, because I pray to the goddess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have like the ultimate mother on my side. Not talking
Mm-hmm.
bio mother here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the ultimate mother on my side, and she's amazing. She's ferocious, and she doesn't take crap.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, so oh my gosh, I can't even believe we're over an hour.
Wow.
This was a wonderful. When you get into conversations, the time that is like whoop, the time just goes.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask one more question. I'm gonna let, and then Sid will close out.
Hmm.
I want to know. Well, can you tell the audience? Now, I don't want to know. I want you to tell the audience, the supporters, the viewers. Can you give some advice on going through the traumas growing up, being traumatized as a child, and overcoming your traumas? I don't know if you have fully overcome them yet, but can you give advice to the audience of how your personal experience, some of the techniques that you use to help
Hmm.
you heal and overcome a lot of the things that you have went through? Because as we know, we will never fully heal. Hurt once we're traumatized, we will always carry a piece of us. But when we begin a healing process to face society and become a part of the world, it's measures that we have taken to get there. So can you share with the audience some?
Yeah, sure. I think. actually most of my healing has happened very unconsciously or subconsciously, right? But what I do remember doing is I started focusing on something initially other than the trauma, because when you do get traumatized, you are kind of habituated to focus on the trauma again and again and again. Okay. And one thing I urge you people to do is do not keep repeating your story. It's very, very important. Do not keep repeating your story, because if you do keep repeating your story, like I said earlier, the body doesn't know if it's happening or if it's happened. So it is believing that it is happening right now. So it is still feeling all the physical feelings that happened when you actually went through it. So what you're doing is you're compounding those feelings. They're growing, which then become like a time bomb, and you burst into illness, or you fall into an accident or something like that. Then the physical evidence of that trauma becomes evident. Yeah. But it's very important to start taking the pause mechanism. And when you want to heal, when you want to start dealing with the trauma, make sure you find someone you can talk to. Make sure. Most of the time we're thinking, maybe I don't need to say this to anyone, I shouldn't tell anyone this. Or what will I be judged if I say this to someone? you know I know you fear getting judged, but it's better than keeping it inside. And for once, I want to tell everyone, it is not your fault. It happens. It happened to you. Yes, but it's not your fault. No matter what the world tells you, you wore something, so it's your fault. You behaved like this, so it's your fault. You got on the train at the wrong hour in the night, so it's your fault. No, it's not your fault. You did not do that because you wanted to get hurt. You did it because you needed to do that in this moment. So, the very first thing I want you to realize, it is not your fault. From there, I want you to either talk to someone. If you can't talk to someone, scribble, write, draw, just color black, whatever, whatever feels right to you. Express yourself in whatever way possible. Express yourself. Hit the gym more often if you have to. Go running more often if you have to. Anything that lets it out from all your senses. Like running, gymming, it sweats it out, so that's one way of release. So do that for yourself. And no matter what, do not find yourself responsible. First of all, do not believe you have to keep it to yourself. If you say, oh my god, I'll keep running writing, I'll have a whole room full of papers and I will still not have sorted it out, burn those papers. It sounds funny, but there is a certain kind of release in just watching yourself burn those things that you've expressed yourself within, especially books or papers or whatever. Just burn them and don't put them there and let them burn. Watch them burn. Watch them burn. That feeling of them burning, of them going to ash, really will make a difference to you. It'll start making a mental, emotional, and physical difference to you. You'll start actually standing up stronger. And that's one thing. Another thing, like I said, standing up stronger. If you realize your body will start crumpling, it'll start going down. It's very important for you to, stand up, chest out, back straight. Very, very important. Very important. Do it purposefully. The Superman stance, that stance that they do, shoulder hands on the hips and standing straight, chest out. Do that for yourself. Do that for yourself 5 times a day. The minute you feel like this, do that for yourself. The minute you do that, the entire physiology changes. And it is like a what do you call it, it's an experiment, a study that's been conducted, that these superhuman postures really help the body to change. Start doing that for yourself, and start finding small things that make you happy. Because every time you take your mind off that trauma, every time you look at something that makes you happy, that gives you any sort of joy, or takes you out of it even a little bit, you'll be surprised. Suddenly, after a while, you would have been so distant from it that it's there, not like it's gone away, it's there. But it doesn't impact you as much. But it takes a while, it's not going to be soon. Does that make sense?
Yes,
It
it does.
definitely
It
does.
does. It definitely does. So I'm gonna let you. I've been given permission. Can you share your social media outlets tags with us? I have a few of them running at the bottom right now. So if you see
Oh, that's
those,
right.
yeah.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I don't really use Twitter, but I am on it, and I'm on
Okay.
Instagram, which is it can be at Pushti or it's at more Pushti.
Okay.
I couldn't
Okay.
get enough of myself, so I had to add more.
It's okay. It is okay. So we want to thank Push T for coming on today. As I mentioned, she is in India. It is 11 hour and a half hour difference. So thank you, Push T, for joining Unfiltered, Unspoken. I said smoking, spoke unspoken. We thank you for helping us go international. This is another piece of it. So we're truly thankful for that. Just a few things. Focus on things over other than your trauma. These are advices from Push T. Don't repeat your story. Get it out there, let it go. It may come out here and there, especially for those that speak and have speaking engagements. But if you can not repeat your story or get in situations and stay away from relationships that are repeating your story, these things can help you heal. Find someone that you can trust. This is big. This is almost every, you hear a lot of folks say, find someone you can trust. Stand up strong, purposefully. Stand up strong. Know that your worth. So keep that posture up. Don't put your head down. Look at people, especially those that have harmed you. They harmed you. You didn't harm them. And find small things that make you happy. Small things make you happy, because I know for me, if you give me a Reese cup, I'm happy. It's priceless. So find small things that make you happy. And lastly, I want to say this because this is very big, and Push T also elaborated on this. Um, in order to love yourself, you have to know yourself. Knowing yourself is facing these traumas from childhood, adulthood, domestic violence. Don't hide these problems and go through this alone in the darkness. This is the purpose of Unfiltered, Unspoken, also the good fight. So if you are going through life experiences, this is a platform that we allow people to freely express who they are, and they are not judged. So find platforms similar to this. Please come join the good fight. Please come join on Instagram, Facebook. We're going to run that real quick. Join our platforms. We are here to support you through life experiences. And again, thank you for tuning in on another episode of Unfiltered, Unspoken. And we are going to continue to share life experiences. This is our mission, and this is what we do. So have a blessed day.